This episode is brought to you by Conflict of Nations. Sign up using the link in the description and lead a real country during World War III. Initially established in 1882 to produce locomotives and railroad carriages, Piaggio shifted its focus to aircraft production near the end of World War I. After World War II ended, Piaggio refocused on its most well-known product, the Vespa scooter, in response to the public's demand for inexpensive transportation. Piaggio, a company best known for its scooters and motorcycles, also has a long history of aircraft manufacturing, and in the late 1970s, the company came up with the idea of producing a twin with a distinctive appearance. The plane's engines are situated in a pusher configuration, making it stand out from the crowd. Although airplanes with tractor configurations are the norm, the improved engine installation possible with pusher propellers is largely attributable to the latter's intake design. It has a pressurized cabin that can seat 9 people and may be flown by a single pilot. On September 23, 1986, the first flight of the Piaggio P180 Avanti prototype took place, and on March 7, 1990, the aircraft was given Italian airworthiness certification. It was also certified in the United States, which Piaggio saw as the plane's most important market, in October of that year. Airplane fuselages were initially built in Wichita, Kansas, and then shipped to Italy for final assembly. Before a group of investors led by Piero Ferrari, vice president of the Ferrari car firm, became involved in 1998, Piaggio Wichita ran out of money in 1994 and the project languished. After some financial difficulties, Piaggio got back on track with its Avanti Evo after the Italian government stepped in. And let us tell you, it is a thing of beauty. And it has some of the craziest systems you'll see in an airplane. More on that later. Speaking of exterior design, the Avanti Evo stands out among similar-sized twin turboprops because of its impressive design. What matters is not that it has a forward-lifting surface, but rather how those parts work together. The forward wing, not to be called a canard as it has no moving flight controls other than forward flaps, is located on the underside of a gracefully curving nose, has 2 pitted tubes underneath it, and unlike Western variants, has pronounced anhedral. Both the ventral delta fins and the sharply raked back could be references to the shared Learjet heritage of the 1980s. The upper fuselage rises to a peak slightly ahead of and beyond the leading edge of the main wing, before sloping downhill to meet the lower fuselage upward curve just below the trailing edge of the T-tail, which is 13.06 feet above the ramp thanks to the aggressively swept back horizontal tailplane. The Evo's distinctive features all have a specific purpose. The forward wing's anhedral prevents aerodynamic interference with the engine intakes and improves the aircraft's stall performance. A third of the plane's lift comes from the fuselage's continuous curvature, which also makes the wing size requirements smaller and reduces drag. The high aspect ratio main wing is placed behind the rear pressure bulkhead so that the spar does not pass through the passenger cabin, allowing for a continuous length of 14.93 feet, and the horizontal stabilizer has a sharp sweepback that prevents the elevators from being aerodynamically blanked by the wing during a stall. Most obviously, the winglets and the 5-blade scimitar propellers located behind the main wing's trailing edge identify this aircraft as Piaggio Aerospace's latest version of the Avanti, the Evo. The first Avanti to be built when production shifted from Genoa to the new plant in Villanova del Bonga was airframe SN3007. It's easy to get in and out of the cabin. The upper 2/3 of the door on the port side, just below the flight deck, opens towards the nose of the aircraft, and a gust lock maintains it flat to the side of the fuselage. With the pull of a left side handle, you can lower the portion with the 2 carpeted steps built right in. At first glance, the cabin appears to be incredibly well made, with a 2-person bench seat located directly opposite the door, a single sideways facing seat located on the same side as the door, and 4 club-arranged seats leading to a fully private bathroom. The completely upholstered seat includes a seatbelt and can be used during takeoff and landing. The Avanti Evo's rear compartment has a volume of 375 square feet, making it large enough to comfortably seat 7 adults. With its high-speed internet and satellite connection, this plane can also function as a mobile office. The length of the stand-up cabin is 15 feet, and its width is 6 feet 1 inch. The chairs are upholstered in black leather and include the owner's initials etched into the headrest. The cabin ceiling is 5.74 feet in height, allowing for easy movement along its entire length. The plane is powered by two Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6A engines driven by two 5-bladed Hartzell propellers. The new wide-chord, lightweight propellers constructed from aluminum alloy are completely feathered, reversible, and hydraulically regulated to maintain a steady speed. The original 2,000 RPM for the propeller was lowered to 1,800. These improvements, together with those made to the aerodynamics, nacelle, and engine exhaust geometry, resulted in a 68% or 5 decibel decrease in environmental noise. Passenger comfort has been increased due to a 20% reduction in cabin noise. The new low-maintenance landing gear on the Avanti Evo consists of a steerable dual-wheel nose gear and two single-wheel main landing gear components. The main wheels all have carbon brakes that prevent skidding. The planes can take off and land at secondary airports and small airfields with runways shorter than 1,000 meters in length that do not support regular flights. In June 2014, the European Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, approved Piaggio's Avanti Evo for a larger fuel capacity. Auxiliary tanks can boost an aircraft's maximum range by 17%, from 1,470 nautical miles to 1,720 nautical miles, and its fuel capacity from 2,826 pounds to 3,226 pounds. It also makes it possible for planes to fly from one coast of the United States to the other without making any additional fuel stops. In 2021, however, Piaggio Aerospace revealed a slew of improvements to the Avanti Evo turboprop twin, including significant modifications to the aircraft's components and systems, interior, and cargo. To begin, Parker's new high-power steel braking system has obtained EASA clearance under the aircraft type certificate and is now available for retrofit on in-service Avantis via a supplemental type certificate, STC. In addition, the latest generation of Evos make use of lithium-ion batteries. True Blue Power's lithium-ion nanophosphate cell chemistry is used in both the primary and backup batteries, resulting in a greater capacity, greater output voltage stability, a shorter engine start time, and significant weight reductions. The Evo, made on the Italian Riviera at Piaggio's plant, is an unconventional yet aesthetically pleasing choice for business executives who place equal importance on image and profits. The company has ties to Ferrari, therefore, for a while they operated an Avanti, which has many benefits, including a large cabin, low fuel consumption, and a range of over 1,700 nautical miles. The Evo no longer has the recognizable roar of the Avanti II, but there is a certain allure to going back to the beginning of propulsion. The Piaggio Evo is the airborne equivalent of an Italian sports car, thanks to its sleek design and impressive performance. The third-generation plane is the fastest multi-utility turboprop in the world, capable of reaching top speeds of 402 knots, 745 kilometers per hour. The Evo can climb at a pace that is 250 feet per minute faster than its predecessor, has a range that is almost 200 miles longer, 1,530 nautical miles, and consumes 3% less fuel. It uses around 40% less fuel than comparable jets while still flying at high speeds. Business travelers can choose between a private jet with slightly greater capabilities and a more expensive turboprop that can do 80 to 90% of a jet's work for around half the price. The Rockwell Collins ProLine 21 avionics suite in the cockpit includes a tablet-based electronic flight bag. It has 2 sets of controls, 4 data concentrator units, DCU, a state-of-the-art weather radar, a traffic collision avoidance system, TCAS-1, and a terrain awareness and warning system, TAWS. The aircraft satisfies the requirements of both the European Safety Agency's CS-23 and the Federal Aviation Administration's Part 23. For better audio management and expansion potential, the equipment features an HMI with a color display, bezel push buttons, and programmable soft keys suited to the aircraft's configuration. Piaggio anticipates that we will soon see the certification of numerous significant upgrades, including a revised environmental control system, ECS, cabin pressurization system, CPCS, and new SATCOM system. The special-purpose Evos will also have access to a flight inspection system, FIS. The Italian company FIMAC will produce the updated digitally controlled ECS with 2 zones. The new system will provide air conditioning for both the cockpit and the passenger cabin, with the ability to switch between manual and automatic use. It will also have increased cooling capacity and an exhaust and scoop design optimized to reduce aerodynamic drag. With Honeywell's new digitally controlled CPCS, most of the old static and pneumatic lines have been replaced with electrical harnesses, and the avionics and flight management systems have been streamlined. There are 3 distinct operational modes available inside the CPCS. Auto Schedule, wherein the cabin altitude is automatically controlled according to a predefined schedule. Cabin Select, wherein the cabin height is automatically controlled according to a crew set value. And Manual. In addition to replacing the previous system's capabilities, this new one also adds a cabin altitude warning mode for longer runways. Honeywell's new Aspire 150 is another great SATCOM option coming to the newest Evos. Utilizing the recently launched fleet of 66 Iridium satellites, this system supports traditional phone conversations, Wi-Fi, Skype, WhatsApp audio voice over IP calls, and video chats with guaranteed high performance, 700 kilobytes per second bit rates, and global coverage. The Norwegian Special Mission FIS, built as the latest generation and fully automatic, will be installed in the aircraft of the special missions. All CNS components, including on-the-ground navigation aids and inspection procedures, will be under the pilot's command with this system. The Piaggio P180 Avanti is undoubtedly one of the most extraordinary aircraft ever built. The Italian turboprop may be identified by its twin turboprop engines situated on the back of the wing in pusher configuration, and its small forward wings located near the nose of the aircraft. Compared to previous turboprops, it more closely competes with light jets thanks to its high cruising speed and innovative design. The original P180, called the P180 Avanti, made its debut in 1990, and it had a top speed of 354 knots thanks to its Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6A 66A engines. The Avanti was promoted as a turboprop that could also outperform several light and mid-sized jets, while having up to 40% cheaper operational expenses, whilst exhibiting a serious range of 1,440 miles. Piaggio upgraded the P180 Avanti II in 2005, which features more fuel-efficient PT6A 66B engines. The II has a somewhat slower cruising speed and a range that is roughly 80 nautical miles shorter, 1,360 nautical miles, but it consumes over 20 fewer gallons of fuel per hour, saving a substantial amount of money in direct operating costs. A significant improvement over the Proline 2 present in the original Avanti, the Rockwell Collins Proline 21 avionics system is included in the second iteration. And then in 2014, Piaggio introduced the Avanti Evo, and the rest is history. Potential operators of different business turboprops should pay special attention to the available payload with maximum fuel when making their choice. When compared to the Piaggio Avanti Evo, 973 pounds, and the King Air 350 IER, 1,193 pounds, the King Air 250's available payload with maximum fuel is quite low at just 115 pounds. The Beechcraft King Air 250 and 350 IER have a narrow cabin width, 4.5 feet, than the Avanti Evo, 6.1 feet. When compared to the Avanti Evo, 5.8 feet, the King Air 250 and 350 IER, 4.6 feet, are both shorter. The King Air 350 IER's cabin is 19.5 feet long, which is longer than those of the King Air 250, 16.7 feet, and the Avanti Evo, 14.9 feet. In this comparison, the Avanti Evo's cabin volume of 393 cubic feet is larger than that of both the King Air 250 and the King Air 350 IER. The King Air 250 and 350 IER have more interior luggage room than the Avanti Evo, 60 cubic feet versus 16 cubic feet. However, the Avanti Evo has an additional 44 cubic feet of external luggage space, while the King Air 250 and 350 IER have none. The King Air 350 IER was found to have the longest range of the bunch, 2,271 nautical miles, in tests with Wichita, Kansas as the starting point. With 4 passengers and full fuel tanks, the Avanti Evo has a moderate range, 1,510 nautical miles, while the shortest, 1,038 nautical miles, is the King Air 250. When comparing planes in this category, you'll see that they all have 2 engines made by Pratt & Whitney Canada. Pratt & Whitney PT6A 52 engines produce 850 horsepower for the King Air 250, while PT6A 60A engines produce 1,050 horsepower for the King Air 350 IER. The average fuel consumption rate of the King Air 250 or King Air 350 IER is 92 gallons per hour. The Avanti Evo, with its two PTA6A66B engines, has a lower fuel consumption rate, 79 gallons per hour, and produces the same amount of power, 850 horsepower, at a lower cost. When compared to the Beechcraft King Air 250 and King Air 350 IER, the Piaggio Avanti Evo turboprop is faster and has more room inside. The King Air 350 IER, while more expensive, has more range and can carry more weight with the fuel it has on board. The topic of whether a King Air 350 IER's longer range and greater payload, when fully fueled, is more essential than the Avanti Evo's more room and speed is an important one. The King Air 250 is a less expensive option for highly capable aircraft for those who do not need the extra features. Airport performance, terminal area performance, and time to climb are a few other key features that could influence a customer's final decision. Obviously, there are many factors that a buyer must take into account before settling on the most appropriate performance metrics. So, in the end, it will come down to what you really need from your airplane. But with that said, all of the aforementioned offer great value for their prices. The aircraft is now quieter and uses less fuel than previous models, and its service and support infrastructure is also advanced. With a height of just over 5 feet 9 inches, the luxurious cabin has plenty of headroom for 8 passengers in the VIP section and offers a number of convenient amenities, including new leather seats by Yakabuchi that recline and rotate 360 degrees, as well as numerous fold-down tables, lighting controls, and outlets. There is very little noise within the cabin, and the cabin altitude is only 6,600 feet, so passengers won't feel much fatigue. And it's lightning fast to boot. The Evo is inferior to other models in terms of range. This is the sole major flaw of the plane. Numerous operators place an emphasis on range, and the lack thereof is a deal-breaker for some. The Piaggio Avanti Evo, nicknamed the Ferrari of the Sky, is an exceptionally captivating aircraft thanks to its distinctive appearance and remarkable efficiency gains relative to comparable turbofan and turbojet-driven aircraft, with almost no sacrifice in performance. When you take into account all of the aircraft's features and add in its stunning and distinctive design, you have a very tempting airplane.